Makose, Ngingumakhosi uNomabutho Emsamo, and this is clearing into consciousness. If you have never done this work before, let me tell you just a little bit about it and perhaps what to expect and how to succeed through using this work. Clearing into consciousness is a healing modality guided by the ancestors. Here we use presence, our own presence, conversation with the ancestors, guided journaling, and some candle work to do what is called the shadow work. What the shadow work is when we allow ourselves to access the parts of ourselves that we often run away from. And the reasons why we often run away from those parts of ourselves is because our shadow selves, are the parts of ourselves that behave in ways that may be to our detriment or are trapped in patterns that are in whatever way to our detriment. The purpose of doing the shadow work is to access those parts of ourselves with the end in mind of acknowledging them, understanding how it came to be that those parts of ourselves exist in the way that they do, and ultimately letting go of those detrimental patterns. Here at Sangoma Society, we do this through clearing into consciousness. This is a collective work. We ask for our ancestors' support in our work. Our ancestors support us in doing this inner work because it is to their own benefit, because we are a physical manifestation of our ancestors, our flesh, our bone, our neural pathways. These are our ancestral inheritance. We've taken this aspects of ourselves from our ancestors. We've inherited epigenetically and genetically many things from our ancestors. Whether it be talents, whether it be patterns of bondage, one way or another, someone who lived before us is the reason why we're here today. Genetically, it is inescapable, and spiritually, even more so. So for that reason, our ancestors are present with us in this work. We engage with them throughout the process. Clearing into consciousness takes place over the course of 3 days. Over these 3 days, we will go into our shadows, open ourselves up. The opening may be jarring, may be uncomfortable, and may be extremely triggering. Going into the shadow self will leave you feeling quite vulnerable, sensitive, and perhaps even uncomfortable. Perhaps you'll want to be alone. You might find that you become a little bit more emotionally reactive than usual or sensitive. But ultimately, we'll close off this entire exercise and bring you back into this realm fully in a more clear state of mind, more capable of living a life that is filled with consciousness, guided by your own consciousness and intention. The single most important rule pertaining clearing into consciousness is that you finish what you start. If you begin this work, then you need to finish it. The second most important rule with clearing into consciousness is that if you are participating in any way, you need to be aware that your energy affects the energies of those participating in this work at any other time. If for any reason you have come here to watch but not participate, you just want to see what it is but not actually do the work, I will implore you to please leave. This is not work in which you can just come to peek in. You will open portals that you will not close. And that would be irresponsible for me to permit, first of all. And secondly, it would be detrimental to the collective. If you're here for anything other than doing the work, I'll give you a moment to see yourself out. So, things that you will need in order to do day one's exercise are, at this moment in time, loose paper and a pen. Preferably, you can pull pages out of any notebook that you have access to. However, I would advise you that you do not write on the back of any paper that has already been written on. So it should be new paper. I've used an exam pad here. So new paper that you can easily loosen from whatever you're using. And then for sometime after the exercise, for those of you doing pivoting into purpose, I will encourage you to use your dedicated notebook, journal. If you are new to this work, I would encourage you to use your journal, your general journal. If you have a dream journal, use that journal. But that is not for this live class. It will be for after this exercise. If you're watching the recording, it's not for during this process, but rather for while afterwards. For during the process, the purposes of this class over the course of the next 45 minutes to 1 hour, what you will need is the paper that's easily for you to loosen and a pen and your own presence. Okay, I hope you're settled. I hope you're comfortable. And I hope you're prepared to do clearing into consciousness with me as your guide over the course of the next 3 days of this full moon. If you start this now, please know you need to finish it. If you don't finish these 3 days, it will be to your detriment. Today we'll open a portal. We'll step into that portal. We'll go deeper tomorrow. And on the third day, we will close that portal and return fully into this realm, this time, this place, with greater understanding of ourselves, greater understanding of our own patterns, and the tools from our ancestors to engage in this life more consciously into consciousness. With me, Umakosi Nomabuto, on Sangoma Society. Please be sure to sign up to Clearing into Consciousness on sangomasociety.com. These videos will not be staying up in the Facebook group. They will only be available through the course platform. Please be aware of that. Mabutetu Bumnyam Kuvelukai. Makos.